My boss thought he was clever humiliating me over email until I CC'd the entire leadership team. That single line was the last message I sent before everything in the office changed forever. It started like any other Monday morning at Rutherford and Blake consulting spreadsheets, client calls, and an inbox already overflowing. But that morning, one particular email stood out. My boss, Simon Kerr, had copied half the department while tearing into me for a project delay that wasn't even my fault. The tone wasn't professional, it was personal, mocking, belittling, and public. I remember staring at the screen, heat rising in my face. That email didn't just sting, it humiliated me in front of everyone I worked with. I replied politely, swallowed my pride, and told myself to move on. But deep down, I knew that wasn't the last email Simon Kerr would ever send me. I'd been working at Rutherford and Blake for 4 years, a financial analyst based in London, known for my precision and calm under pressure. I wasn't flashy, just dependable, the kind of guy who'd fix problems quietly while others took credit. Simon Kerr, however, was the opposite. Loud, egotistical, the type who'd CC the CEO just to prove a point. He loved the power of email, the way he could weaponize words and still claim professionalism. In private, he'd joke about my polite nature. "Jewel, you're too nice for corporate life," he'd say, smirking. In public, he'd throw me under the bus for his own mistakes. It became a pattern. Projects delayed by his decisions somehow ended up with my name in the blame column. My inbox became a museum of manipulation, proof of his twisted games. And every time, I stayed silent, because in corporate life, silence was survival. Until he made one mistake too many. It was the Q3 client report, the biggest deliverable of the year. Simon had ignored my repeated warnings about missing data from his team. When the report was late, he exploded. He wrote an email titled, "Unacceptable Delay, Hartley's Lack of Ownership." He CC'd not just our department but 3 VPs. The email wasn't about performance, it was public humiliation disguised as accountability. "Jules' repeated oversights have caused significant embarrassment," he wrote. "I'll personally ensure this doesn't happen again, even if it means reconsidering his position." That one sentence, reconsidering his position, was a death threat in corporate language. And I realized something. I'd been documenting everything for months. Every misdirected order, every contradictory email, every insult, every do it my way then fix it later. I finally had what I needed. Simon thought emails were his weapon. He had no idea I'd been collecting receipts. That weekend, I stayed late in the office under the excuse of closing the quarter. What I was really doing was organizing evidence. I built a folder. Simon Kerr, Internal Correspondence, June-October. Inside were over 180 emails, all showing his unprofessional tone, false blame, and contradictory instructions. I highlighted the key ones. Asterisk, the email where he told me to skip client review steps to save time. Asterisk, the follow-up where he accused me of skipping those same steps. Asterisk, the late-night messages full of sarcasm, calling my work rookie material. Asterisk, the messages to HR claiming Jules been slow lately on days I'd logged overtime. I wasn't angry anymore. I was calm. Because I finally knew. His downfall was going to be written in his own words. The final straw came a week later during a team-wide update. Simon sent another email subject line, "Professional Standards Reminder." He wrote, "Team, please take Jules' recent mistakes as an example of what not to do." That was it. He had mocked me privately. Now he was using me as a corporate punchline. What Simon didn't realize was that the same morning, the executive director had emailed me directly, praising my initiative on a cost-saving model that improved a client's portfolio by 8%. Simon had no clue his humiliation email was sent just hours after leadership had commended me. The irony would soon be beautiful. I began composing what I now call the email heard around the office. I drafted it for 2 days. Not emotional, not reactive, just factual. I backed every sentence with proof. I referenced attachments, audit trails, and Simon's own directives. I formatted it like a report, clean, structured, professional. Then I added one final deadly detail. I included all the recipients he had ever CC'd to shame me, and then added HR, the compliance officer, and the managing director. Subject line, clarification on project responsibilities, supporting documentation attached. Simon wanted to use email to destroy me. I was about to use it to destroy him legally, publicly, and permanently. I waited for the perfect moment. Monday, 9:02 a.m., right as everyone was logging in. I hit reply all. Dear Simon, thank you for your message. I'd like to clarify a few points with supporting documentation for transparency. I included 5 attachments, each one a PDF of his earlier emails contradicting himself, complete with timestamps. Every time he'd accused me of delay, I had a prior message showing him approving that delay. Every time he'd mocked my accuracy, I had spreadsheets proving I was right. Then the closing line. I trust this clears any confusion regarding ownership and decision-making on the project. Please let me know if HR would like a fuller record of communications. Send. Silence for 5 minutes. Then my inbox exploded. Within half an hour, the office was buzzing. People were forwarding the thread. Chat notifications were popping everywhere. The managing director responded first. Thank you, Jewel, for providing clarity. HR will review this immediately. Simon didn't reply for hours. When he finally did, it was desperate. Jewel, I think this discussion is better suited for a private meeting. Too late. The leadership thread was alive, and HR had already scheduled a formal review. By lunch, the HR director called me in privately. She said, Jewel, do you have any more of these emails? I handed her the folder. Her face dropped when she saw the volume. Thank you, she said quietly. We'll handle it from here. That's when I knew Simon was finished. Over the next 2 weeks, HR conducted interviews. They didn't need to dig far. Simon's behavior was a pattern: public shaming, credit theft, and intimidation. Multiple employees came forward, emboldened by my email. The office atmosphere shifted, fear turned into quiet defiance. Simon was suspended pending review. Rumors swirled that the executive director had personally demanded a written report of all his communications with staff. And the best part? They used my clarification email as Exhibit A. 2 months later, Simon was officially terminated for misconduct. The internal memo was short. Effective immediately, Simon Kerr will be leaving Rutherford and Blake following an internal review. No farewell party, no goodbye emails, just silence. His office nameplate disappeared overnight. HR privately thanked me for handling things professionally and respectfully. But the real satisfaction came weeks later, when a recruiter told me Simon had applied for a position at another firm and they had called our HR for a reference. I could only imagine what HR said. I didn't just survive, I was promoted. The leadership team offered me a new role as client relations lead, citing my integrity and composure under pressure. My salary jumped, my workload balanced out, and for the first time, people saw me not as the quiet analyst, but as the guy who stood up to a tyrant and won. The irony? My new job included managing internal communication etiquette. In other words, I was now training people how not to be like Simon Kerr. Revenge didn't come from rage. It came from restraint. Simon used emails to embarrass people. I used his own emails to expose him. He thought he was untouchable because he hid behind professional language, forgetting that every word was a record. In the end, his own arrogance wrote his resignation letter. And every time I open my inbox now, I smile. Because I know somewhere out there, Simon Kerr hesitates before pressing send.
Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this, go watch the one on the left and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel for more tales of triumph over injustice and a saga of ultimate revenge.